8 mistakes couples make when planning for retirement. Let's be honest, guys. I am single. Well, I'm in a 22-year-old long-term committed relationship, but my girlfriend and I have separate retirement plans. We have planned separately for retirement, okay? When you are a single retiree, you can afford to be kind of selfish. It's true. All you have to worry about is yourself, right? That's it. If things go wrong, hey man, it's on you to fix it. Most of the time that's okay. I know if things go wrong with me, I can cut way back on my expenses and still be okay. When you're planning with another person involved, that's totally different. Guys, leave me comments from those of you in long-term relationships. If you're married, could be single in long-term relationships like me. How was planning for your retirement with your significant other? Was it easy? Was it hard? Is it still an ongoing thing? Let me know. Let us all know. We want to know. So here are 8 mistakes couples make when planning for retirement. And I've got this all from AARP. Number 1, not talking about finances enough. Everyone's not going to be interested in money. Or they might be, but not nearly as much as another person, right? They might not be good with numbers. That's fine, but you got to talk about it, right? You got to talk about it with your partner who may not be as interested in the planning phase as you are. Make sure they are on the same page. You don't want to, later in life, 10 years into retirement, you don't want to run into the issue that, oh, I thought we were much better planned for this. Make sure they're on the same page, even though they're not interested in the nuts and bolts of it. So you both have an understanding of where you are. Are you good? Are you bad? Do you need improvements here? Do you need to save more? Can you start spending? Make sure you're both on the same page. That'll eliminate a lot of conflicts. Number 2, leaving the money decisions to only one partner. Okay, that's a big one. Again, this kind of goes with number 1. If one person is not as interested in doing the planning. But when it comes to money, okay, let's say your partner who hasn't been as interested in the planning phase wants to go out on a shopping spree, whatever. They want to take a huge vacation. If they haven't even been somewhat involved in the money decisions, that could be an issue, right? Money decisions are huge, dare I say huge, in retirement and even leading up to retirement. Okay, what about, do we want to put an extension on our house? Let's say 5 years before retirement. You got to have both partners involved in that. You have to, right? I mean, when it comes down to it, yes, all the other aspects of retirement outside of the financial ones are very important. But the nuts and bolts, both people, so what point 1 and 2 kind of go together. Both people have to be involved in planning, in saving, in, how much of our paychecks are we putting into our retirement fund. Don't leave it just to one person. Just say, they got to figure it out. When those big decisions come up and you haven't been involved in either, you're talking about the finances enough, number 1, or 2, leaving all the financial decisions to one partner, you're going to be out in the cold. There could be some huge, dare I say again, huge arguments that spring up from that. Hey, for those of you who see me for the first time, my name is Duane, and this is a retirement channel for people on moderate income. If you think you might like that, think about subscribing and like the video. And down here are 2 other ways to support the channel. You can either buy my new dark comedy / thriller, The Monster Who Loves Me, about a serial killer who falls in love, or you can buy me a coffee. Number 3, this is a big one. Dare I say huge? I've said it too many times already. Being overly generous with loved ones. Yeah, that can be an easy thing to do, right? And again, this is where you have to have both partners involved in the decision. If you just have one saying, they have a favorite, hey, guys, I don't have kids, but I know for some of you, you could have favorite children. Right? May never say it, but you know it in your mind. Out of the 3, this one is your favorite. Could be different favorites for the husband and wife, right? So let's say, I don't know, the husband is favoring his oldest daughter. he starts helping her out with tuition at a college, significant amount, and he doesn't tell the wife about it. You think that might come up to bite them in the butt, later on in life if they come into money problems? And the wife says, I thought we were good with this. I thought we were all set. And then the husband has to tell her, well, I was given Mary $20,000 a year on her tuition for 4 years. On moderate income retirement, that can really be a big deal. So, being overly generous with your loved ones, or it might not even be kids. It could be a cousin. It could be whatever. Make sure both people are involved in those decisions. Number 4, not knowing what you want to do in retirement. If that significant other and you have not discussed plans on what you plan on doing, what you want to do in retirement, if you haven't discussed it among each other, what's going to happen when the time comes when you have to decide where you're going to live in retirement, right? This person could want, obviously you know what your partner likes to do, but you might not know they like to do it that much until they are not working anymore, until they have more time on their hands. One might want to move to a ski town. One might want to move to be closer to the beach. Okay? So you got to know what you want to do in retirement, guys. That goes with hobbies too. If you come up with a hobby, let's say you're a husband, make sure you let your wife know what your new hobby is going to be, right? She might not like you spending every day golfing for 5 hours. Okay? Make sure you talk it out with them. You got to know what each other's interests are. Hopefully you do after a 20-year relationship, but you might not. Number 5, underestimating health costs. Now, this is a big one for single or married. Okay, especially with, I have been on ACA or Obamacare for the last 3 years. It's been really good. Subsidies were great. That's all changing in 2026. So for single people even, if you're going to retire early, don't underestimate those health costs. That goes doubly for a partnership, right? Do not underestimate health costs, especially if you are a couple retiring early. You have to understand everything about it. Everything. What are my options? Okay, if this one doesn't work out, what happens to this? Okay, what about 2 years down the road? Let's say you as a couple decide to retire at 62. What are you both going to do until Medicare kicks in? You got to understand it backwards and forwards. Yes, it's not the most exciting thing to talk about or to even research, but it's very, very important. Number 6, collecting Social Security too early, especially if you are a one-person earner in your family. Say the husband was working all his life, the wife was, took care of the kids, took care of the house, all that stuff. If the husband decides he wants to take Social Security at 62, what happens if he passes away? That's survivor benefit. It's going to be a lot less, right? So especially if you're, and you know what? I've got so many comments from couples saying, the man or the woman, I have decided to take Social Security at either 67 or 70 because they want to leave a big survivor benefit to their spouse. That's the way it should be in a couple, in a married retirement, right? At least you would hope so. So guys, don't collect Social Security too early, especially if you are married. Single, hey man, it's just you. Do what you want. Number 7, failing to prepare for the unexpected. Okay, what happens if, a humongous meteor hits your house? You have to have a whole new roof 2 years into retirement, right? That could be, if it's a large house, that could be $30,000, $40,000. Smaller one, not so much. But if you're not prepared for that as a couple, as a family, that can really take a huge chunk out of your dipping into your retirement savings, as opposed to having a separate emergency fund, right? You should be, when you retire, you should have your retirement savings. You should have at least 2 years of cash on hand in case the markets take a bad turn, you can take out of that cash. And some people even have an emergency bucket of cash on top of the 2 years of saving, okay? So failing to prepare for the unexpected, that's not just for married, that's for single too, right? You got to be ready for that. You just got to be. There's no excuses on that. And number 8, overlooking long-term care. Now, if it's just one person, if it's just a single person, okay, well, you know what? If you know what you're dealing with if you fail to get long-term insurance. It's just you, right? What about if you're a couple? It's not just one person, it's two people. Chances are one of them may need extended long-term care towards the end of their life. If you're overlooking that, especially as a couple, in fact, I think it makes more sense as a couple to get long-term care insurance as opposed to a single person. I know with me, I haven't got it. If I'm 85, if I'm senile, if I have 9 months to live, am I really going to care where I'm at? Yeah, maybe that's a controversial statement, but I think it's because of that, I'm not as concerned with long-term care insurance. As a couple, you should be, right? You really should be. So there you go, guys. 8 mistakes couples make when planning for retirement. Let me know. Have you guys made those mistakes? Let me know what your experiences have been. And as always, from the lovely high desert, we got this.